A man receives news that his mother has died. He does not cry. He does not seem sad. He does not pretend to feel grief. A few days later, under the burning sun, he kills a stranger, almost without intention. When he is put on trial, the court is less disturbed by the murder than by something else entirely, his refusal to show the emotions society expects. This is the story of Meursault, a character who shows us the raw, uncomfortable truth of what it means to be human in a world that doesn't always make sense. The Stranger was published in 1942 during the Second World War. Europe was surrounded by violence, fear, and uncertainty. Old beliefs about religion, justice, and progress were beginning to collapse. Many people were asking difficult questions about whether life had any clear purpose at all. Albert Camus was a French writer born in Algeria, then a French colony. He grew up in poverty and lost his father during the First World War. Throughout his life, Camus was deeply aware of injustice, suffering, and death. He believed that the universe is indifferent to human hopes. It does not explain itself. It does not reward goodness or punish evil in a fair way. From this idea came Camus' philosophy of the absurd, the tension between our need for meaning and the silence of the world. The Stranger is one of the clearest and most powerful expressions of that belief. On the surface, this novel appears simple, written in plain, direct language, but beneath that simplicity lies a deeply uncomfortable question. What happens when a person refuses to lie about their feelings? The novel centers on an ordinary life, a sudden act of violence, and a trial that becomes a judgment not just of a crime, but of a man's entire way of existing. The narrative is presented through the voice of Meursault, a quiet office worker living in French-ruled Algeria. The novel opens with one of the most famous lines in modern literature. "Mother died today, or maybe yesterday, I don't know." This sentence immediately reveals Meursault's emotional distance. He does not pretend to feel what he does not feel. He simply states the facts. At his mother's funeral, Meursault does not cry. He smokes, drinks coffee, and notices the heat and the brightness of the day. The people around him are uncomfortable, not because he behaves cruelly, but because he refuses to perform grief. Soon after, Meursault returns to his everyday life. He begins a relationship with a woman named Marie, enjoys swimming and physical pleasure, and lives entirely in the present moment. When Marie asks if he loves her, he answers honestly that it doesn't really mean anything to him. He does not lie to make others feel better. Everything changes during a trip to the beach. After a tense encounter connected to a friend's conflict, Meursault finds himself alone, exhausted, and overwhelmed by the heat. The sun beats down mercilessly. In a moment of physical discomfort and confusion, he fires a gun and kills an Arab man. In the second half of the novel, Meursault is put on trial. Strangely, the court focuses less on the murder itself and more on his character. The prosecutor speaks at length about his behavior at his mother's funeral. His emotional honesty is treated as proof that he is dangerous and immoral. Meursault slowly understands that society wants him to lie, to express regret, faith, or belief in a higher meaning. But Meursault refuses. Near the end, he realizes, "I only had a little time left, and I didn't want to waste it on God." This reflects his rejection of false comfort and forced beliefs. Meursault is sentenced to death, not only for killing a man, but for refusing to pretend that life follows clear moral rules. One central idea in the novel is the absurd. Humans search for meaning, but the universe gives no answers. This creates not tragedy, but silence. Another theme is judgment. Meursault is punished less for his actions than for his failure to meet emotional expectations. The novel shows how society often values appearances over honesty. Finally, the book explores acceptance and freedom. By accepting the world as it is, without illusion, Meursault reaches a strange sense of peace. Even today, people are often judged not only by what they do, but how they are expected to feel. Public grief, social performance, and emotional conformity still shape how we are accepted or rejected. Camus' novel speaks to anyone who has ever felt misunderstood, emotionally out of place, or pressured to pretend. It reminds us how uncomfortable society becomes when someone refuses to play a role. This quietly unsettling story does not offer comfort or clear answers. Instead, it offers honesty. Meursault accepts the world as indifferent, silent, and vast, and in that acceptance he becomes free, not hopeful, but aware. Camus leaves us with a quiet reflection. If life has no guaranteed meaning, then living truthfully in the present moment may be the most honest response of all.
Thanks for listening to Books Simply. If this explanation helped you understand the book more clearly, feel free to explore the next video in this series. New book explanations are added regularly. If you spot any mistakes or have suggestions, feel free to share them in the comments. If this helped you, a like is appreciated. You're welcome to subscribe and let us know which book you'd like to hear next.